Jasmin, I'm sure many of you have heard of Jasmin's famous brownies. I mean, chocolate brownies, come on. They are pretty incredible. But Jasmin is basically the founder of Homemade, which is an award-winning and independent cafe in Nottingham, who makes delicious treats and has been making delicious treats for Nottingham since 2005. And has built up quite a reputation for, like I said, her chocolate brownies. But I mean, Jasmin bakes every cake known to man anyway, and they're all delicious. I can't really choose which one I prefer. And if many of you, if some of you haven't been to Jasmin's place, it's actually based up on the Goose Fair site in Nottingham, where the forest ground is, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, Forest Recreation Ground Park.
That's it. So not as in the Forest Ground Football Club, because
no, which some people do get confused with.
They do, yeah. We had an event there a couple of years ago, and some people actually went to the football club, didn't they?
Yeah.
So yeah. So if you want to visit there, then she's on the Goose Fair site. So Jasmin, welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello. So so tell us a bit about your kind of day-to-day life within Homemade pre-lockdown and pre-COVID-19 compared to now.
Well, the last couple of years have been a sort of blur of madness, really, because since I sold the shop in town and moved everything to the forest, and then we created a secondary part of the business of making a wholesale company for the cake business, and sort of focusing on that. I've been growing that as well as making the pavilion better. And I've been working round the clock like a maniac for the last two years. And actually, just before this happening, I was sort of very much feeling quite burnt out, and the cake business was growing. We had a huge amount of wholesale trade, and we'd just taken on some really big, prestigious things, and it was really going like this. And we were just at the point of thinking, right, we need to recruit another baker and change our operation hours. And we were going to sort of do a day shift and an evening shift to try and to be able to deliver on all these orders. And then enter the virus. And then that happened, and it was possibly one of the most terrifying fortnights of the last 15 years. And, hospitality was very much left in the dark, I think. And, our other friends I have that have restaurants and bars, we were all just literally, one friend of mine, we just sat in the park with our heads in our hands, like, what the hell are we going to do? Because no information was coming really from the government, any guidance. We took it upon ourselves anyway. We actually socially distanced the cafe already and took out half the chairs and tables. And basically, if you stood still for more than 30 seconds, you were going to get sanitized. We were spritzing everything every 2 minutes. And, we really, for the 3 weeks before, I could see this emerging, because I have a friend who has a relation in Italy where it was all, in the area where it was all happening. And he was saying, I think it's going to come here. I think it's going to be bad. So we were going for it, but it was just this unknown of what to do. And then the magic golden moment was when Boris said, don't go into cafes and bars, but then also didn't give a mandate for everyone to close, which then meant that insurance companies entirely washed their hands of everything and still remain to do so.
Did they wash their hands for 20 seconds?
Yes. And then they did a long drive afterwards just to check. And then they washed their hands of it. And so it was very clear the insurance were not going to help in any way at all, unless you physically had the virus in the building, at which point the testing had ceased and you would have no way of knowing anyway. So the shock and despair at the time was palpable. And then the best thing that came from it was when Rishi did the statement and said that the furlough was coming and something was going to happen. We actually closed earlier than when they did the lockdown because we're in a council-owned park and building. The city council closed Woollerton and Newstead and all these places earlier, where we also supply cake to. So we sort of went with them. I was asked to follow suit. So we actually closed before that. And I was sort of thinking, well, what the hell's going to happen now? Like, how you know, I was sort of thinking through my head, am I going to have to just lay everybody off? Am I going to have to make everybody redundant? What are we going to do? Are we going to be able to pay the wages? Because literally just trade stopped overnight. Bam, that was it. It was like a car crash. So, which I'm sure it was for many of you here. So, you know, obviously then we got the information from the government that something will come, but when that was, no one really knew. So that was interesting as well. The wait for that was, you know, quite hard. When that finally arrived, I felt like a new person. But, you know, that was a month of like, and actually, I'm in quite a lot of independent business groups from the city centre of other, you know, cafes and small retail. And everyone was really, there were people in real pickles, you know, waiting for the grant to come through and not knowing. And actually the city council were incredibly slow. They were actually marked as one of the slowest councils at processing the grants, because they had 7,000 to do. And the rumour going around at the beginning was they only had 3 people doing it. So as you can imagine, everyone was having a complete breakdown. And then, you know, it became very clear the cafe just couldn't be, you know, wasn't going to be for quite some time. And at first, you know, it seemed like it would only be a month or so and then we'd get back to normal, didn't it? At first, that's what it would be like. And then, it, you know, as each day went, it just felt further and further and further away. In that week of madness before the full lockdown announcement, I had nipped to Lidl to get something for baking. I needed some more soya milk, really mundane stuff. And I went in there and it was the most horrendous experience of shopping I've had in quite some time. That it looked like Beirut in the 90s. There was nothing in there. The shelves were completely empty. There were elderly people crying, people shouting at each other, people shouting at the staff in there. It was just horrible. It was like something out of Lord of the Flies. And I thought, right, 3 days in from it really up in the media and this is what we've become, this is dreadful. So I sort of, after sitting in the car park in tears thinking, what's going on? I you know, we just thought, obviously we've got to close, but I felt like we should do something, you know. And the one thing we could do to help was to try and help our regulars who come in, you know, day in, day out, get some supplies, because I could still get things from our suppliers. Yeah. So then I made this basic list that was quite wartime-like of basic provisions that we could deliver to people. So I have a van, and I thought, well, I should do something. You know, it felt wrong to just go, oh well, I'm just going to sit at home now. Yeah. And because, you know, it was so unknown of what would happen next with hospitality.
So was that the moment for you then, Jasmin, really? That Lidl moment? Was that
it really was, because, you know, I don't have the kind of business that I can do at home. And there's some elements of it me personally can do at home, but by and large, it relies on us having a building and many coming in and out of it. Yeah. So, you know, you feel like sort of lost spare parts, and you know, you feel like you want to do something to help, even if it's something really small. So I started that just to sort of see, this is an idea of what we'll do, and then, you know, made a nice list and put that on social media and photos of things. And then I was inundated with messages on the Facebook. I did it all initially through the Facebook page, because I'm the least techie person in the world. This is the 4th time I've used Zoom, everyone, so sorry. And I didn't really know, you know, any other way to do it. So initially it was literally people messaging me their wish list and giving me an email address and a phone number and a delivery address. And then we have a till system that I can send online invoices to. So then I was manually entering them all in, which was taking 900 years, and then sending them off, and then people could pay online securely, and then we could just deliver at the door and sort of knock on and run away and wave from the van and say hi, and that you know, that's how it worked. Then I initially thought we would only do that for, you know, a week or two just to help some people. I really thought it would fizzle out and it wouldn't be a thing, because again, at the beginning it didn't seem like it would perhaps go on for as long as it has.
Yeah.
Then when it became apparent that people were really getting into it and saying, are you going to keep doing it? Are you going to keep doing it? Because we were sort of taking it week to week, and I had furloughed the majority of the staff, and I had a couple of the part-timers helping me, which, you know, it still made financial sense to keep them out of the furlough and have some help, because I can't do it all entirely on my own. I then built, well, Joel, my assistant, who brought a lovely drink in a minute ago, Joel, my other half, helped me build a web shop.
Great.
To make it a bit easier. So, and Square, the till system that we use, they were scratching around of how they could help hospitality, because obviously in America they were having the same problems, and all their UK customers were having the same issues. So they made a facility so you could build a web shop quite easily, either to do, you know, delivery and pickup, or you could do like we are, and it could be a web shop and you physically go and deliver it. It's either for takeaway food or actual, you know, like we've been doing. If I just quickly show you.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, no, I can't share the screen. It says it's disabled.
I think I need to give you permission. Just give me 1 second. The power I've got over all these things. I don't even know. Oh, hang on. How do I even do this? They've changed it recently, you know.
It's not essential.
Oh, have they? We had a recent Zoom update, didn't we?
Hang on. Where is it? So I think I have to go to share screen.
Matt, it's down the bottom on the grey line. If you look at the left of the participants where the security stuff is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we have an icon.
If you click on that, then you'll
allow
see...
participants to share screen.
Correct. There you go.
Okay. If I hit that, is everyone going to start sharing the screen? No, they're not, because you're good Zoom citizens. And only Jasmin is going to do it. So there we are. That should be a thing now, Jasmin.
Joel's peering at the door to see if I can actually do this now, which is brilliant.
Come on, we've got this.
You know what you're doing there?
Not particularly. Where is it,
Joel can come on if he wants to.
Yeah. Next support.
Hi, Joel.
It's this one. That's Zoom.
Hey, there we go.
Not Zoom. So this is the, yeah, so this is what it is.
So this is your new web page that you've created now for ordering.
This is what we've created for online ordering for now. And I still maintain that I don't think this is going to last forever. But for now, this is what we're doing. So
we've got sausage rolls, lasagna.
You can go on here. These are basically, you can get veg boxes wherever they've gone. I can't even work my own page. This is good, isn't it? So we do a veg box here, and I sort of try and make that seasonal every week. So it's summery at the moment, so it's got lots of salady stuff in. And we did baking kits because nobody could get anything to bake at home, and people were using that for teaching homeschooling.
Well, you know, your baking kits, I have to say, I mean, I've had one of your deliveries already, a grocery box, and then I added a few individual items to it, which is really useful, because if you just need some milk or some sourdough bread, it's great for that. But also the baking kit, I could not for love nor money get hold of some self-raising flour anywhere, and I think it was a time when there was a massive shortage, wasn't there?
There still is.
Everyone was baking banana.
So I've been just doing some treats that the things that we would make in the shop, so people had easy stuff that they could throw in the oven at home. And how do I go away from that now? How do I go back?
And with the self-raising flour, I remember you saying to me when I said, "Have you got any in?" And I bulk ordered about 3 when I realised you had some in, and you referred to yourself as the Pablo Escobar of self-raising.
Yes, I did feel like I've been the Pablo Escobar of flour. People have been like, "Can you get me any yeast? Can you get me any of this? Bread flour? What can you get?" And I'm like, she's putting these huge sacks in and then like cutting them down to kilos for everybody. So that's quite
good. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because that gives everybody an idea of what it is that you've adapted to. Obviously, your cafe, you have your own menu anyway in the cafe, and I'm sure that's a bit more. There's more things on there as options for you, because people can sit in, can't they, normally, and come and have a meal or breakfast.
And as far as the cafe goes, you know, I think the one of the things I take away from this is that I sort of got given the gift of time in a way, because for the first time in 15 years, it forced me to work not quite so manically. And and actually I've thought, well, I can have weekends in the garden and be at home. And, you know, I honestly haven't done that in 15 years. So it's been quite a revelation. And I do feel like I don't want to go back to how it's been. And where the cafe goes from here remains to be seen, because we still don't really know anything yet from the government. But it will be very, very baby steps. And we won't go back to 7 days a week for a long time, I don't think. And I'm just in the process now of trying to gather the feeling from the staff, and, you know, a lot of them we've got are quite young, and I think this is going to be quite a big life-changing thing for a lot of them.
Absolutely. And do you think you'll continue with your deliveries? So when you do manage to reopen at some point, do you think your delivery option will still be available, or is this just temporary?
I initially saw it as temporary. It depends on what the mood of everybody is. And what, you know, if they want it or not. I think what I will definitely do is make more of a click and collect, and it might be that we have more of a, I don't want to say deli because that implies lots and lots of things, but have more of that, you know, people can pre-order stuff and collect things to have at home, because I think people's dining habits are going to have changed. You know, this is quite a long time that everyone's now been getting back in the kitchen at home, and I think it's going to be a long time before anybody can eat out normally again.
I agree. I think the world of hospitality has certainly changed now, and I think it's perhaps changed for the future, maybe not indefinitely, but for a while yet. So it's about, you know, working with that and adapting your business model, isn't it, I guess, to fit with that. So if those deliveries that you are doing now might well be something that you implement for the future, and do the click and collect idea. And that's come purely from the COVID-19 lockdown, and that's actually a new business venture for you, really, on the side, isn't it?
Yeah, and the cake. I mean, there were things that we had planned for this year with cake, in particular, and it's just sort of fast tracking all of that, really.
Any plan that involves cake has got to be a fantastic plan. I'm just saying.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
Jasmin, I had a quick question. Do you mind if I segue into this and just muscle my way in, Fiona? Like, I will. Anyway.
Yeah, go for it. No.
If I see fire in Fiona's eyes, I'll back off, and the fire's not there yet.
No,
it was just a quick one, Jasmin. So, you know, have you got any plans to sort of do delivery or anything like that? Is that something that you've explored? Sort of deliver some of these things. Is that something that you'd ever factor in?
We are delivering.
Oh, you are. Sorry, forgive me.
We're doing.
It's not just click and collect; it's delivery.
It's predominantly. It's only delivery at the moment, because when it became iffy, you know, sort of thinking, right, it's not really, we shouldn't be bringing other people onto the site at the moment. We don't know what's going on. I think I only offered the collection option for the first week or two, and then actually I just said, right, that's it. We're going to have to do delivery only. So currently we do deliveries on Thursdays. People order, so I usually set the web shop live on a Thursday afternoon. They order, I have to close the orders on a Monday, because if people are ordering anything like butchery stuff, our butchers need their orders in at midday. That's the other thing that's been quite a challenge. So a lot of our suppliers are all working on a very, very slimmed down version. So previously we used to be able to get deliveries every day but Sunday. Now I can only get certain things once a week. So that's a radical change in food, and you've really got to think about, well, I can't make this, but I can make that, and how's this going to work? So
you had more.
And any deliveries before this, or is this, you know, have you completely had to pivot into this new kind of delivery system?
Our wholesale orders we delivered, but they were, you know, huge, hundreds of pounds worth of orders. You know, we'll be sending 50, 60 cakes to Woollerton Park, that kind of thing. So that's, you know, this is different. We haven't been doing smaller orders. But what's been really lovely about this, for me, it's been like a trip down memory lane, because in a way it's felt really like it did when I started the shop. So way back when, in 2005, when I opened the shop in Pelham Street, for the first 3 years, I was on the shop floor every day. And I knew everybody, I knew what they had for lunch, I knew where they worked. We used to go out for drinks after work, everyone became friends, and it was great. And then as the business grows, you have to take yourself more and more away from it and focus on it rather than be in it. And then you get more and more detached from the reason you started it, particularly with food. And, you know, I wasn't doing as much of the making. So what this has also done, this is the other positive, is that I've been doing the baking again. And I've been making all the food for everybody to have and packing all the things. And rather than just being glued in the office, doing this all the time. So which is why I did it in the first place. And I've really loved that bit of it.
Okay.
I think that's the thread, isn't it, so far, Matt, really, is that so far with Martin and now with yourself, Jasmin, is that, you know, what we're finding is that the things that are coming out of this, yes, you've adapted your businesses to fit, but the big thing is the work-life balance thing, is that it's really brought to the surface that it's really super important to look after ourselves and to have that time to ourselves to reconnect and to reset ourselves and to actually think about the business and to go back to our core values and our brand values and everything else. And the reason, you hit the nail on the head, Jasmin, the reason why we started our business in the first place, because it's so easy to forget that when you're so busy with the day-to-day stuff, isn't it?
And also the other thing is as well, that actually having such direct, close, well, not close because we're not seeing each other, but close contact in the form of via the medium of, you know, apps and things, but with the customers. You know, people have been telling me about their lockdowns, or now people have started, when the first few weeks people would hide behind a window and just wave and you run away. Now people are coming out to the doorstep and you have a bit of a chat. So it's been a really nice way to connect with everybody while they
connect with everybody. You know, a lot of people in Nottingham, let's face it, you know, you're a girl about town. I mean, back in the day and all that, when Nottingham was a different place entirely.
I've just got to say, you've sparked a lot of interest, right, Jasmin? I don't know what you've said, and I don't know what these questions are going to be. I know we have no time, so but I do really quickly. A couple of people have requested they can ask questions to you live, so I'm going to ask Victoria. Can you come on, Victoria, and ask your question quite succinctly? And then Jasmin, if you could do your best, Jasmin, to respond quite quickly, because we've got also Sue afterwards, and then is she there?
She's on mute.
She's still on mute. That's because she was eating crackers.
Yeah, here she is.
Firstly, I want to know, how was your cracker?
The cracker was amazing.
Was it everything you hoped for?
It was everything and more. It was fabulous.
Fabulous.
So, Jasmin, it was actually a kind of a question / suggestion. So I love what you've done. I work with hospitality. Well, I work with lots of businesses, but I work down like the experiential side of things with a lot of hotels and restaurants, etc. I was wondering, had you thought about doing things like, so some of the hotels that I'm working with are doing like afternoon tea to me, where they're delivering afternoon teas to people's houses now. They go out sort of weekly, they're getting loads of bookings for them. So it's not just like the ingredients, it's not like the grocery boxes, which I think is amazing, but you can get all these baking, obviously all the baking supplies that you can get, you make amazing cakes. Have you thought about looking down the experiential side? Because it's making a lot of money for a lot of brands, particularly down in London.
I'm sure.
Have you considered that? Because
I have been asked about afternoon tea about 5 million times in the last couple of in the last month or so. So many, but as people have started to emerge out of the you know well, not the lockdown, but just like the people were very much hunkering down, weren't they? I've been asked about it a lot, and we are working on something, but predominantly it will be more led. What we have, which is very lucky, I consider, unlike lots of other, there's lots of shops and cafes doing. I've seen the afternoon tea thing pop up, but we have the benefit of actually having a beautiful park outside. So we are going to be working on picnic. Things. Bring your own blanket.
I was going to say like picnics with like teddy bears, picnics for children's birthday parties. There's so much you can do.
That sounds
we have been looking at those kind of things.
Great question, Victoria. Can I just get one last question in, because I know we're going to need to move on. It's just that Sue would like to come on and ask a very quick question. As I say, if everyone could be concise, that would be superb.
Hi. Yeah, just very quickly, how useful Jasmin has the Support Our Independence thing that Claire Hansen set up. How useful have you found that in terms of as an extra platform to promote independent businesses across Nottinghamshire? Because I keep tabs on that. I joined to that quite quickly early on. And it's been brilliant to see how many businesses are promoted on that. Has that been useful to you?
Well, I don't know whether in terms of tangibly knowing who's come to us via that. I know Claire quite well because she does the. We have her collection point for the free period charity that she's involved in. So we were when we were allowed to open. God damn, we were a collection point for that. So I know Claire quite well with that. So, but I think she's doing a cracking job at keeping. Anything that she sees going, she's obviously sharing it within that group. So I think it can't hurt. And actually, weirdly, when I got home this afternoon from doing the deliveries, I actually had a good look at it for the first time in a while, and I noticed she's got loads of people following it now. So
what platform is this on, guys? Sorry,
it's just a Facebook group that's been set up. There's a few that have been set up to support independent businesses, and actually one of I had this conversation this afternoon with the lady from Bluebell Dairy. I think one of the really positive things is that in times of crisis, and I remember this happening after the crash as well, people go back to basics. But this has been, this makes the crash look like a walk in the park now, I think, personally, for us. But people have really been going, so people have been going back to the greengrocers, people have been going back to the butchers.
Oh, 100%.
People have been supporting independent business. People are thoroughly hacked off with supermarkets and the complete shambles that is.
I've started my milkman again. I've got a milkman, everybody. How cool is that?
People are going to the milkman, that's amazing. I just hope, I really hope that stays.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so important.
There's something on Instagram as well. If you update your iPhone, I don't know if it's on everything, but it's the little icon GIF, isn't it, that says support.
Yeah, I'm going to do. I'm planning. I was going to do a session one weekend and just do a highlight of like my favourite places and all that kind of thing.
Definitely. Well, that's a great thing. So if you're on Instagram, guys, and you check that out, because it's really good to do shout outs. So if you've used a really good independent throughout lockdown and you want to give them a little shout out through your Instagram, you can just tag them in on that. Through the gifts section, and I've been doing 4 a day. So since lockdown, since that launched, I've been giving shout outs to 4 different independents a day. So if you want a shout out, then you'll have to drop me an email and I'll give you one.
I would say that I would definitely urge everyone to do that, because not for anywhere that you go to, if they have got social media pages, then tell people, because if you want these small businesses to survive, that's going to help so much.